Welcome to the I Formation. My name is Jeff Gibbons and this is my co-host
John Moist.
And we're two guys that just love the game of football. Something we've been wanting to do for a long time is a podcast talking about football. And we're not meaning the CFL, we're talking about the real deal, we're talking about the NFL. Something that we are totally taken by every fall. We have outpicked the professionals consistently over the last few years. I'd like to think we know a little bit about football. This year in the NFL, a lot of flux, a lot of change, big names going to different teams, all kinds of dynamics. And we're going to put ourselves out there this year. We think that just like everybody else, we've got a handle on it. We're going to let you know what we think. What do you think?
I think Buffalo's going to be a surprise this year. They picked up defensive ends Mario Williams and Mark Anderson out of New England. These guys are going to be great on defense, but they're going to pressure the quarterback better than they ever did. I think they could take second in that division to the Patriots. Unfortunately, the Patriots are going to win the division because
they have better video cameras?
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Tom Brady loves his tight ends, apparently.
Yeah, he's got the two best in the game. So I hear. Not that I know from personal experience. So Buffalo definitely a surprise. I'm going out on a limb too, and I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't think we agree on this, but 2 years ago, quietly 12-4. Last year, where they lost Jamal Charles in Game 1 after 12 snaps, changed the dynamic of the team. Charles is back, and I think he's promised, he's ready, and he's ready to tear up any team that he comes near. We've also got the addition of Peyton Hillis in the backfield, which I think is a blocking halfback and a fellow who can carry the entire defensive line on his back for 5 extra yards. May make a difference to the game. And I think Matt Castle's got to step up this year. I think that if he does and plays the way he has played in the past and shows that brilliance with Dwayne Bowe and those other offensive weapons, I think that they can come back and they can win that division or be a contender at least at a wild card position.
They lost Derek Johnson to an ankle injury in preseason.
And they also are without Tom Bahol.
Week 1.
Week 1, he's suspended. But I mean, small problems. I know at that position it's going to be an issue, but I think they can still win against Atlanta this week. I think Week 1.
I really don't see it.
Well, we're going to have to see. It depends on how they play. They run the clock. I think if they keep the ball on the ground, the best defense.
2 starting linebackers out.
Well, remains to be seen. Well, we'll talk about that a little later in the show. I think we're both in agreement that there's one team I think is going to be tough to beat no matter where you are.
Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely. That team has just gotten better with age, and I think that Aaron Rodgers, pound for pound, the best quarterback in the National Football League. We've got the addition of Cedric Benson. Right?
Explosive running game this year for the Packers.
Here's his chance to stand up.
And he will. The Packers have a swarming defense, and they are capable of running the table this year.
A team that will give them trouble in the playoffs is going to be a team that's journeyman like our Chicago Bears. That could be a team that pulls an upset, but for pound, solid team, defensively and offensively.
The Bears lost Marion Barber, but they filled the gap with Michael Bush out of Oakland, and I think Bush is actually a better running back than Barber, and will give the Bears a new dimension on the ground. With Matt Forte and Michael Bush, I think they share carries. And I think that the Bears are going to be a force to be reckoned with this year.
Got a running game that's going to be very diversified, almost like New Orleans was a couple of seasons back. And also, of course, Brian Urlacher is healthy.
37 years old, still one of the best in the game, a true team leader.
I'd take him and Ray Lewis on my defensive line,
We
combined age of 75 years.
They got the Colts at home. The Bears are at home to the Colts week 1.
They're feasting on the Colts week
Yes,
1.
they are.
So that's the big picture right now. And of course, you know, anything can happen. Injuries, as we know with Charles last year, that we talked about the Chiefs at that point. But so we're gonna spend some time talking about, well, certainly this week's picks, because that's what we do. We're also going to put ourselves out there and talk about Player of the Week. We're going to talk about the Team of the Week, and we're also going to pick a Defense of the Week. So stay tuned. Hi, and welcome back to the Man Room for the I Formation. We're going to get right down to it. Let's put ourselves out there. We're going to talk about the picks for this week, the inaugural week for the 2012-13 season. And we're going to start on Wednesday night with a toughie, I think. The New York Giants hosting the Dallas Cowboys.
Nothing tough about it. The New York Giants will win this game. They have Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks that are going to torch the Dallas Cowboys.
I think Dallas has really improved defensively. Nate Livings from Cincinnati shoring up their front four. And this fellow Morris Claiborne, the cornerback out of LSU. Talented, words like dynamic used to describe him.
But can Claiborne stand up to Hakeem Nicks or Victor Cruz?
Well, I guess that's where it's going to be remain to be seen, isn't it? I think they go into New York, and Dallas with Romo, with a good game, I think they win by a field goal. My call.
I think it'll be a high-scoring, close game. Always is between Dallas and the Giants. I think Eli Manning will get the job done. I think Victor Cruz is going to have a huge game in this one, even if Claiborne is on. David Wilson also is a new backup running back in New York. And he has explosive speed. The loss of Brandon Jacobs to the Niners.
Still a lot of change, so we'll see how it all goes. I think that right now Dallas is the more together team. I think they pull out a squeaker in New York.
I'm going to pick the Giants by a touchdown.
Next game, Atlanta at home and Arrowhead to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think we've already set the tone on this. I don't think we agree on this one either.
Not at all.
I think that Kansas City is going to win. I think Kansas City is going to be a much more successful team than people think this year, based on some key acquisitions, including Kevin Boss at tight end, Peyton Hillis in the backfield as halfback. Some questions on defense, but I think, like I said, the best defense is a good offense. And I think running the ball is going to be a huge boom for this Kansas City team this year.
Questions on defense is an understatement. You got Tamba Hall out with suspension for week 1. You got Derek Johnson with an ankle injury. There's 2 starting linebackers that are out for the Chiefs. And they're up against Matt Ryan, they're up against Tony Gonzalez, they're up against Jones, they're up against Roddy White, and Michael Turner on the ground. I don't see Kansas City coming close in this game.
I'd be more concerned if Matt Ryan was home in the Dome, because we all know his successes there. But I think in Arrowhead, I just think Arrowhead's going to help. It's going to be a big deciding factor as well. I think that the Chiefs win this game. And
I strongly disagree. I see a long year for the Chiefs. Next we have the Jacksonville Jaguars in Minnesota to play the Vikings. What are your thoughts on this one, Jeff?
I'm pretty sure we're leaning the same way here.
Yeah.
I still think Jacksonville is going to go in, and they're going to beat a more lowly Minnesota Vikings team than we're used to seeing. I think a team slightly on the rebuild as well. Some big acquisitions for Jacksonville this year to bolster their team. Certainly on defense, there's Andre Branch.
Led the ACC in sacks last year.
Yeah, for
Great
Clemson.
pickup.
Absolutely. And out wide, we've got Laurent Robinson from Dallas. We've also got Lee Evans from Buffalo, which 2 big offensive bombs out there on the wideouts.
Well, they also picked up Chad Henne as well.
I think you're right. That's going to help too.
He can push Blaine Gabbert. Make him play better, maybe even push him for some playing time.
Absolutely. So it's always nice, and we know how the Jets feel about having a team, 2 quarterbacks like that, one behind the other.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to work out so well over in New York. Next up, Buffalo at the New York Jets. What do you think?
I think the Jets are going to win this game.
Interesting. And why would you think that?
Well, they picked up Jeremiah Bell and Laurent Landry at safety. It's going to improve the defense, an already formidable defense. And I think the Jets can control the game on the ground with Sean Green. They picked up rookie receiver Hill. He was excelled in option offense in college. And then you bring over Sperano, and of course you got to mention Jesus Tebow. Now, Jets got something up their sleeve. They're going to utilize a Wildcat offense, and they'll win this game by 3 points.
I beg to differ. I think that the Buffalo team that we saw coming out of the gate last year, winning 5 games, had the defense that either showed up or didn't show up. And add to that list now defensive players Mario Williams and Mark Anderson, who, by the way, had 10 sacks last year for the New England Patriots. And I think that if the team shows up like it did in the first 5 games of the season last year, I think that they take the lowly New York Jets, who have all this flux. They also have Rex Ryan, talking about all these secret weapons that they have. I think even that defensive line is able to handle a Wildcat, and I think that if they come at them with that kind of vigor and fury that they did early last season, I think they're going to dismantle this team. And I'm actually going to say that they will show up, and I'm going to guarantee at least 3 sacks for that Buffalo defense and 1 interception. And I think they win it big. I think they dismantle this team I think they're going to show the demons that the New York Jets have this year.
Jets control the clock, win it on the ground. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks in Arizona to play the Cardinals. What's your take on this?
Another good game. I think that Seattle had a pretty impressive preseason. I know it's preseason, but they still had it. Russell Wilson, the quarterback there, took the starting job from Matt Flynn after being signed to big money. He also led the league in preseason yards for quarterbacks, which is still admirable. I'm looking at Marshawn Lynch and his back problems being over. He's rehabbed and ready to start again since coming over in 2010. I think this is probably a clean start for him. Down the sides, we got Sidney Rice and also Golden Tate, who's a third-year receiver who has had a really impressive set of camps this year. And starting on the other side now, some sports writers, including SI, are talking about him having a career year. So I think all this pushed together, I think Seattle goes into Arizona, and that defense being suspect, I think they can go in there and win a game.
Well, with Marshawn Lynch on the ground, Seattle is definitely going to make this a good game. But defensively, they have lost linebacker David Hawthorne. He was a key part of the team last year. They have a mediocre linebacker core now. Arizona, I think Skelton can get the job done. You got Larry Fitzgerald and newcomer Michael Floyd, a wide receiver. Rookie, explosive speed, great in college. That gives him speed at both starting wide receivers. And I think that Beanie Wells can get the job done on the ground, and I think Arizona can win a squeaker in this one.
I'm concerned with the running game. I don't think that Beanie Wells is the formidable character that he was earlier in his career, but I think that you're right. There are some offensive threats in the air there, and I think Skelton can get the job done. But I'm still picking Seattle to win in a close one.
I pick Arizona in a close one. And to round out the table this week, we actually agreed on 11 games, and the winners of those games that we agreed upon are New Orleans Saints, Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, Philadelphia Eagles, Houston Texans, New England Patriots, Green Bay Packers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baltimore Ravens, Oakland Raiders, and Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it's not very often we agree with that many in one week, is it?
Well, time will tell.
We'll see how that works out for us. Want to introduce another segment that we're going to try to do each week for you now, and that's we're going to start with Player of the Week and Team of the Week. And it's really not the past achievements from the week before, obviously, because we're just starting the season. We're looking at a player and a team that we should watch this week for a big performance. I'm going to start off with the Player of the Week. The person I'm going to be watching this week to have a big week is Matt Forte with Chicago. I think he's going to feast on the Indianapolis secondary. I think he's going to have a career game. And, for you fantasy owners out there, not a bad pick as a starter for a running back. How about yourself?
Well, on my fantasy team, I have Matthew Stafford. And I think Matthew Stafford, at home, St. Louis Rams. He's going to throw the ball all day to Calvin Johnson. Stafford might hit 400 yards. Definitely my player of the week.
Lots of points.
Yes.
Team of the week? What's your call there?
Atlanta Falcons. I know you picked the Chiefs, but the Chiefs have two linebackers, starting linebackers that are out this week. And we have Tony Gonzalez, we have Julio Jones, Roddy White, Michael Turner on the ground. I think Atlanta torches the Chiefs this week at Arrowhead.
Ooh, that remains to be seen. I'm going out with the Buffalo Bills. And again, we didn't agree on this pick either, but I think those defensive pickups of Mario Williams and Mark Anderson, huge. And I think if that defense shows up like it did last year, I think they're going to come up with some big games. And again, for the fantasy owners, I think there's a lot of points to be left on the table there with interceptions. Guarantee, and remember those 3 sacks and 1 interception. We'll see how that works out for me. Not to mention Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he's an underrated quarterback in this league, and I think that if he steps up, this team, they'll be out of the basement this year over the lowly Jets and possibly even the Miami Dolphins. But I think with a little luck and avoiding the injuries, they could be a team, if nothing else, a spoiler in that AFC East.
I agree.
Today, just this once, is going to be the segment we call I Told You So. This is something we all can remember from after all these, hopefully all these podcasts are done this year. At the end, we're going to say today who we feel is going to be in the dance at the end. And I think we both agree on a final victor, don't we, John? And that may be?
The Green Bay Packers, if they stay healthy, will win the Super Bowl this year. And they have the capability of running the table. They have an easy schedule. They get to face the Bears a couple of times, and the Bears always give them trouble. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Green Bay will actually run the table this year. I'm predicting it. And I will say that Green Bay, considering they stay healthy, will win the Super Bowl this year. The addition of Cedric Benson on the ground now gives them an explosive running game. And in the air, you know who they have. Greg Jennings, Jermichael Finley.
Jordy Nelson down the side, and Donald Driver deeper in the depth chart, but still formidable receivers.
Absolutely.
My only concern about the running the table thing, we know when you get 14, 15 wins in, people like to rest. We've seen that with the once great Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw it in there.
Yeah, no, you just want to be there in case that happens, so that you can put that in my face.
I want to look good. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with you on the Packers. Some other teams, like I said, and funny you mentioned the Chicago Bears, because I think in a perfect storm, the Bears could upset that apple cart come playoff time. Again, one of those platoon teams that comes through shining, similar to the New York Giants. Because I know that you've got something for the Giants again this year, and I think that some of these prognosticators out there are saying that the Giants are going to win that division. I kind of like them coming out of the backfield and winning the extra game, because I think that that's their thing. Both Super Bowls that they've won recently, they wild-carded in, played those extra games, and won big games when it counted, especially in 2008 when they beat the teams that beat them that were contenders.
David Tyree,
when they beat the Green Bay Packers. They beat I was actually in Texas when they beat the Dallas Cowboys and quietly cheered for them in a Texas bar. But at the end of the day, I think you're right. I think it's going to be hard to measure up to that Green Bay team. Some other teams in the mix, out and about. I still think that you look at Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I think both of those teams in that division go in. One wins it, and I think it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I think they win that division by the slimmest of margins, and I think Pittsburgh picks up a wild card because both of those teams are good as well.
Don't count out the Bengals. The Bengals have a good team this year.
And
surprise.
They've recently, they've had decent seasons. 11 wins one year, I think, just a couple of years back.
Yes.
But some big changes to that dynamic there. Certainly the loss of Cedric Benson. We've also had
Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
It'll be interesting to see, because we've had that discussion on who's the running back in New England, and I think we both joked and said, who cares? Because Stephen Ridley,
Danny Woodhead as well.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are quite capable.
I'm not a New England fan. I'm pretty sure anyone who knows me will tell you that, and I think John feels the same way. As a matter of fact,
Pats.
We hate the Pats. We more importantly
hate Tom.
We hate Tom Brady. So, you know what? No amount of cameras are going to save him, I think, in the East this year. I think that there was a team that he couldn't beat, and it's the Giants. That's all I'm saying. I think that they're going to win the AFC East just because they're the best of the worst this year. We're looking at the Jets. We're looking at the Miami Dolphins. And I am a Miami fan, but I got to stand up and see the truth for what it is and lead with my brain and not my heart. And I think that Buffalo can make some noise. They can be a spoiler. But I don't think, I think there's a false sense of security. And every year, you know, Brady comes up. And last year when they started the first couple of games, him and Wes Welker had big games. Suddenly Brady was going to throw for 400 miles and he was going to be the best quarterback ever. Boy, did that change. And I think Baltimore almost beat them by the slimmest of margins in the semifinals last year. I think that could have went either way. I would not count out the Baltimore Ravens to make a run. I think injuries will certainly be a key component of that. I want to see Ray Rice win another ring, and I think that if he did, he'd hang them up tomorrow. I think that'd be the end of it. But Baltimore is a perennial contender. I think that they're a little bit deeper than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think we agree on that. But I think that at the end of the day, there's more heart, there's more soul. And I think that that team, given the right set of circumstances, you know, almost going to the show last year, I think that they could do it again.
Well, it's funny you should say about picking with your brain and not with your heart, because I'm a Broncos fan. I'm also a Peyton Manning fan. I've been a Broncos fan since the days of Elway. A lot of experts are predicting that the Broncos will go far this year. I don't think the Broncos have enough yet. I think that the Patriots are the team to beat in the AFC. The Ravens and the Steelers are going to battle it out for that division. And the Houston Texans, don't count out the Houston Texans. They have formidable defense, and they could certainly be in the mix as well. The Patriots, I just see too much offense there, and I think we're looking at Patriots-Packers Super Bowl is my prediction.
Just back to the Patriots for a second. I think sometimes people make too many changes, and I think that the Patriots may be guilty of that this year. We've seen that in other sports, you know, where teams have wholesale changed. Brady is still there, that offensive line is still there, and I'm not totally sold on that offensive line of the Patriots, and I think there's some weakness in the secondary from a defensive standpoint. But those many changes into a new football system can come back to haunt you. They'll be a good team like they come out of the gate every other year. I'm sure they'll have a really good handle on everybody else's plays. But at the end of the day, just want to say one thing to all you Patriots fans, and that's 17-0. But anyway, getting back to
living in the past.
Yeah, living in the past. That's it. Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan too. We've got the jersey behind us, but we're Canadians. What can we say? We still know a little bit about football. So, any final thoughts?
Once again, I'm picking the Packers to run the table.
Be interesting to see if I have to bow down and worship you as the all-time Pig Pro. We'll see how that plays out. I think they were winning it all too, but stranger things have happened. And it's the teams that you don't expect that step up at the end of the day. The Chicago Bears teams, sometimes, like the team that quietly won that division out there before, Kansas City, 12-4 2 years ago. Jamal Charles, I know, maybe I'm living in a dream world, but maybe it's going to be you that's going to be kneeling down and talking about that in a few short weeks.
Nowhere.
Okay. Well, we've laid it all on the table for you today, guys. We're going to be back next week. We're going to review the picks that we talked about. We're going to keep you up to date as to how we're doing on a running total. Like I said before, this is just pure love of the game. We hope to see you next week.
Have fun.